for Makwaba at the POG political highway no so see a JBS and say update and so not to say about a highway as well Yajabre say they a bit for more POG so about a and semi monomate de Elcoso ever my Ghana manus and Nebusia and Sunday bebo a ras and semi and the dear Quanso messages also subscribing to a POG political highway now and the dear Quanso messages or subscribing now. Why hit the notification bell no said they on so bit me a daily update no now wa share no for so inside to me aka no so no matter the ecoso e wo man Ghana e ya manusim na ensem ben na ene ye bo e de Fr0m ensem a ye bo e de Fr0m ye ensem bia e free e the oral team e operation recover all loot no e omakachi o mo ensem bia to da efa e Mame Cecilia Dápááh and the former president Yura Nana Addo down kwa so ye hwan ema sikapudua ekohu ewo ne dem ebra na ni made ACC ne dem ono so ko PSS guys wa ebeye nkomo a chese the talk of the town probably e kan wa sema empo omodo science because share the special prosecutor so and so she me and Fr0m no now when our team dey able to just say omon hwe enhwe han ma Cásé kapudo na and so etimi PM Mahama Cecilia Dápááh no omon so enye ho enhwe mu abusua me say bejebre na ya bo edira ensema efi our team for na akache ebeto dwa medase
that have been put together to fight corruption. What are some of the reasons why they are not able to fight corruption?
True.
I think because there are tough wars. At times they spend a lot of effort fighting each other. So we should try and eliminate that so that we can fight graft the way we should.
There's a question I heard about from your experience.
Yeah.
What are the biggest causes of persistent corruption and governance challenges in this country? But from where you are coming from, an institutional approach is what you have taken.
Yes.
Can you identify the other bigger or huge loopholes that ought to be plugged or to be reviewed in a way if we mean business in our quest to fight corruption?
Leadership is very key in all these things when it comes to public sector and, of course, any institution.
True.
Okay? The tone from the top is very, very necessary.
And by top, are you talking about institutional or?
I'm talking about the presidency
Okay.
and the heads of all the top institutions. Someone jokingly said that he is very sure that if it was announced on the 8th of December that the president-elect was D0mlevo, he's sure that many of the institutions will have reformed before 7th of January. So, because people know that you will not tolerate. That's the point I'm trying to say.
True.
And being a long-serving public servant, let me be honest with you, anytime there was a change in government, public servants, they lay back a bit to see, is it going to be business as usual?
Oh, yeah. Or some kick is coming in.
So the leadership is very important. Where the president looks like accommodating or tolerating abuses of public office or corruption, it doesn't augur well. The optics are not good for fighting corruption. And I found it very unpleasant and disturbing when an office which was set up specifically to fight corruption and corruption related was even crying foul.
The OSP.
The OSP, the former OSP cried foul and left. The current one is also crying. So I think the tone from the top, it should just be as simple as His Excellency Mahama telling his appointees that when OSP invite you, don't come to me, don't call me. Go and answer for it.
That's what he said.
No, I'm saying I'm expecting
tell them.
him. Yes.
Okay, all right.
That when OSP calls you, it is between you and OSP. If you think you have a case, you battle it till you finish. But I am not going to come in to give you any comfort. Remember Cecilia Dápááh, what did the president say? He said, you and I will know that at the end of this investigation, your integrity will be restored.
I mean, in the letter.
Yes.
That he was hopeful.
Yes, he was hopeful. Why do you do that? Even before the investigation starts, you know what the end will be. And is it not the prophecy which has come true? So, mind you, in the public sector, all the institutions owe a bit of allegiance or look up to the president. Yeah. So if a president says, no, this thing will not go anywhere, and we know how in Ghana, it's not everybody who is like me. People like to protect their jobs. So they look at it and say, this thing, if I go there, the president may hit me. I don't care. I've consistently said my life does not end with my office, and definitely I've lived beyond leaving the office. Is that not it?
Yes.
My lives go on. So there are people who fear for their positions. And for that matter, I think the leadership is very important. If the president can make it clear that there are going to be consequences for even his appointees, once you cross the line, I'll hit you. These are the rules. Obey it. I think it will be fantastic.
How does President Mahama exhibit that? You said he should make it clear that nobody will be saved or protected.
Yes.
And he will not be a clearing agent.
Yes. First and foremost, he can make a public statement that I am not going to protect anybody because I promised Ghanaians that I'm going to fight corruption. Do you remember that he promised?
Yes.
So I'm not going to be the one who is going to protect you. If there is, in fact, they even talked about audit findings. If there's any audit finding and maybe you are not able to respond to the issues, I will use that finding to take my job away from you. Because you must not be the one who is misusing public funds and not being able to account for it. I'm not going to tolerate that. If I were he, I would have just watched my appointees after 1 month and call all of them. How many of you have declared your assets and your liabilities to the Auditor General? Those who have declared this way, those who have not declared this way. When I finish it, those who have not declared, you are all going home. Because you have violated the Constitution.
Oh, he should sack them.
Yes, sack them. That is what I've always said, that if the Constitution says, you must declare your asset before being in office. And you are in your office without declaring asset. Are you not occupying the office unconstitutionally?
But in fairness, when this matter went before Shraj, in the previous government's time, Shraj basically said that they should go and declare. I
disagree 100%, in fact, even 300% with Shraj. Because it's Shraj saying that if President Mahama on the 7th of January just woke up and say, I'm not the president, went to office and started working, would they have agreed?
No, of course.
Without swearing in?
There's a process.
The Constitution says he should be sworn in by the Chief Justice. Is that not it? Before Parliament.
True.
And that was done before he became president. Now the same Constitution says, declare before you occupy office. And that one Shraj say, we don't know what to do, go and sin no more.
But they say there was a lacuna.
What is the lacuna?
The punishment regime was not fleshed out, and that they could not impose upon themselves the powers to punish when indeed they didn't have the powers to do so.
Since when did this constitution was promulgated? Is it not 1992 and became effective 1993?
Yeah.
And from all that time up to today, they don't find it necessary to fix that lacuna?
But you know that in that PNDC law, it was quite clear that...
Not the PNDC law, the constitution I'm talking about.
No, I'm saying that the PNDC...
The previous one.
Yes, on the declaration of assets. It was quite clear, the punishment regime.
Yes.
But when you people transitioned into a democratic regime, you took out this particular punishment.
At least the 550 should have even saved some of the provisions there. It didn't.
It didn't do so.
And I'm saying that, yes, let's take that as an omission. Okay? How many years now? About 32 years. And we are still here crying the same.
But with respect, the people who fix it are the beneficiaries of that system.
Thank you. Now you are
back to the point. It's not left to me, or maybe.
Maybe the Shraj themselves, they may also fall into the same trap. So they look at it and say, hey, if we say these guys should do this, or we are so strict that it's unconstitutional, so we are recommending your removal from office. What about in case we also don't forget? Remember, they are supposed to declare every 4 years.
Yes.
And they also forget to declare. Somebody may say we should also leave office. So many times, the problem we have in the country is that the person who is supposed to protect the public interest is the abuser. So to make laws which will make sense, for instance, why would we say we are declaring assets and the declaration means just on paper and given to the Auditor General without verification, without publication, without penalty, even if you don't comply?
It beats my imagination.
Thank you.
But we still have not fixed it.
Yes, because it is not in the interest of the people who should fix it. So it is for you and I to be on their neck and ask them.
Do you expect President Mahama to fix that problem?
Exactly. I think if he's serious about fighting corruption, then he should fix this. Not only fix this, he should also fix the internal audit law. Mind you, it is also in their manifesto. The internal auditors are very important in this equation because they are on the front. They are like physicians, unlike what do you call it, the external auditors who behave like they come in after. So making them independent and making them effective and efficient in the discharge of their duties, I think will help us a lot. So that must be fixed. There are a few things that I think will be done, including what I talked about.
In all fairness, it is believed that these internal auditors are client accomplices. They are basically part of the same work culture in various institutions, and they end up endorsing whichever corrupt act or whichever illegality. Sometimes they just only flag it slightly.
So will you expect that we don't have them at all, or we have them and there are few who are misbehaving? Mind you,
but in all fairness, they are there, but sometimes external auditors come.
No, they cannot be effective. Let me be honest with you. When I was Auditor General, I got a lot of my intel from the internal auditors.
Oh, I see.
In fact, and I was encouraging them. I don't know if you heard me. I encouraged them that when you draft your report and you receive the bashing, they say, why can you write this? Don't write this. Go and edit it, else we will transfer you to Bolga, or you go to her, and you don't want to go to her. So they will normally say, this is a first draft. Okay. So the final draft will exclude all the key things. And I say, send me that 0 draft.
Okay.
And many of them, they will tell me that this is my original report, which I cannot officially give to you.
Submit. Okay.
So all that I do is I pick the issues there and send a team to go and verify. And we pick it up in our audit. So a lot of them are patriotic. Let me be honest with you. It's true that a few of them may not be good as we expect. But then also, why they are not very effective is the fact that they are independent.
Sound like POG Media and it comes so I'm sure be like it. Now I'm subscribing to POG Political Highway as well. I'm sure also be subscribing now. We say a lot of the political talks and as a political updates and about highway as well. I just say a buyer and I just a POG Media and so yeah, they are about to political platforms so they be a bit of form or hassle and sabeting your can no matter the coso. Now in same year a D0mlevo, D0mlevo, and also a member of the oral team matches on also the way to Jano. Kamiako is a oral for no omo butaya and as omutrimpo artist or more a defa a yama Mississippi Dápááh no just say and yasam get to I haya ura a year and another down quite a share a year on also 18 recover a year size capudo in an integrity back no omo general who I won't see as an anti and omode a Sarishimu to a deafa or Makache Medasi
is compromised. Because the one who will fix your salary, the one who will work on your promotion, the one who will transfer you is the very person you are reported. Who in his normal sense in Ghana is only idiots like me who will say that, damn it, I'll remain in my position and still report you. Very few people will do that. That's why we are saying that if they pass a law to put all of them under the Director General of the Internal Audit Agency, then they are not at the mercy of these spending institutions anymore. They will become as bold as the external auditors. But they are on the field. And that, I think, will help us. And of course, again, some of their behaviors border also on professionalism. And this central institution can train them, equip them. And some of the skills that they don't have, like if they are supposed to do forensic audits, if they want to do some specialized type of audits, these skills can all be acquired centrally and deployed through government, and it will save us a lot of money.
Now, I mean, we have been talking about the structures of audits. We have been having conversation about institutional reforms. There are a lot of things the NDC listed.
Yes.
Some of them, I'm not so sure how they'll be able to deliver on them within the space that they have given. There's a lot of reform that's been proposed.
Yes.
Beyond institutional retooling and the changes in the laws that you are proposing, what else is required to build a reduced corruption state, a state that's serious about the fight against corruption, a state that has not stifled institutions that fight corruption, and also a state that people are afraid to engage themselves in corruption?
I think one of the things that I saw here, and I would like to read to you, which is of interest to me. They said they will support the Auditor General to enforce the surcharge powers of his or her office to retrieve embezzled funds with interest. That is surcharge. It is a very, in fact, that is one of the key tools that we have in our constitution to fight corruption. Even I was joking with one of my colleagues who is a judge and said, look, you as a judge, there is no way you can go out, identify an offense, question the person, more or less like investigating, and then disagree with the person and find the person on the spot. You can't do that. But the Auditor General does that. The Auditor General goes around, he finds wrongdoing, question you. If he's not satisfied with your answers, the Constitution says once the expenditure is contrary to law, he may disallow and surcharge. So he does that, and it is for you, the aggrieved person, rather to go to court if you are not happy. If this tool of disallowance and surcharge is used judiciously, I think it will help this country. And I don't really get what the problem is, that we are no more getting the disallowances and surcharges that used to happen.
Yes. You were doing it.
Yes. Just a minute. I remember that under Occupy Ghana versus Attorney General, the judiciary or the Supreme Court gave consequential orders and said that any time you come across an item of expenditure contrary to law, the use of the word may in the Constitution changes to shall. It becomes mandatory. In fact, they explained that the Constitution used may because if they use shall, it means every audit should result in a surcharge or disallowance, which is not proper. But then if you occasion any illegal payment, then there's no more may. It becomes mandatory may. You must share surcharge. And these are not happening. But if you look at the audit reports that have been coming out, there's a lot of expenditures. The Auditor General said this is contrary to law. The people rather recoup it. They should rather recoup it. But the Supreme Court didn't say that to the Auditor General. I was then the Auditor General. What I heard the Supreme Court saying to me, if you read the judgment, is that even though Article 17 of the Audit Service Act requires the heads of department to recover the money, they say that the provision in the Constitution is on a higher pedestal compared to the Audit Service Act and must have its right of way. So they said Auditor General has the duty himself. That's why after giving the judgments against the Auditor General, in fact all the pleas that they made went against the Auditor General, they gave consequential orders. So if these consequential orders are not being obeyed, and recently I heard the Supreme Court sending warning to the Speaker of Parliament that if we interpret a constitutional provision and you don't obey it, this is a high crime. But all these years, this high crime has been going on. I don't see what is happening.
No, I get your point. So if these orders were given, that you should indeed surcharge and disallow.
Yes.
And yet the Auditor General
fails to
post your time.
Yes.
Fails to do that.
Yes. Then according to Clause 2 of the Constitution, Article 2 of the Constitution, you have committed high crime.
But nobody has even hinted that the current Auditor General will be, maybe, even being considered to be charged with the high crime. I
don't know whether he is aware that he is committing high crime in the first place, because he is disobeying the decision of the Supreme Court.
Your office doesn't have lawyers who advise the Auditor General?
They do. So, but they take instructions from the Auditor General.
Yes, so it will be quite...
But what happens if they advise the Auditor General and the Auditor General says, I'm not going to do it?
No, I'm just saying that there must be something fundamentally wrong somewhere.
Yes, I know. I know what is fundamentally wrong.
What is wrong?
Because I did it and I suffered the consequence. So he's afraid.
Okay. That's your point.
The accounts have a proverb that the tree that is fruit, Anansi has eaten and died. And Tikuma doesn't go and sleep under that tree.
But that's not his mandate to determine.
No.
His job is to make sure that is done.
It's done.
And it's not only in law, it's been endorsed by the highest court of the land.
Yes. And they didn't only rule. They gave consequential orders. Yeah. 4 of them. The 3 of them went to the Auditor General and the 4th one went to the Attorney General. That when Auditor General does this, take the necessary steps to enforce. And here we are.
There is a new Attorney General who's been vetted. Are you expecting him to remind the Auditor General?
Very much. In fact, I will be disappointed if he doesn't remind the Auditor General that this is what we must do. Because he is a member of the NDC. And they promised that they are going to fight corruption. They said they are going to help retrieve money using disallowance and surcharge. So I think the first thing he should do after his approval is to call a meeting with the Auditor General and say, do you have any challenges? I'm ready to help you.
But would it also help if the executive leader of the country said, I am not in any way going to stifle the performance of your duties. Yeah. So go ahead and do whatever you want to do.
Yes. It is very helpful. I told you the tone from the top is always the best. The president said no. In fact, the president may even have to use the opportunity when swearing him in to remind him that remember that we have so much money we have to collect, a lot of public funds which have been abused or taken through corruption or illegally. And we promised that we are going to help Auditor General to do disallowance and surcharge. So your duty, one of your duty is that go and recoup those monies. Whatever need or support the Auditor General requires, give him so that we can go. If the Auditor General needs more lawyers, maybe the lawyers there are not enough because I'm told some have retired or resigned or whatever it is. Give him more lawyers so that you can go to court and prosecute this agenda.
Now, would this still be important if we do the disallowance and surcharge to continue with the NDC's proposal of the introduction of special courts to handle cases with adverse findings from the Auditor General?
I, on one of the platforms, answered yes and no. Yes, because, corruption is a very disturbing phenomenon, and it will be good we have courts that are dedicated to corruption issues so that they can be handled with speed. But are you aware that as far back as 2018 or thereabout, I wrote to the Chief Justice to say that we are doing disallowance and surcharge, and the Constitution under Clause 8 of Article 187 mandate whoever, Clause 9 of Article 187 mandates that anybody who is aggrieved can appeal at the High Court. If the appeals go to all the high courts in Ghana, we will be in trouble.
You don't have enough.
We don't have
enough representation.
I think we have only 3 lawyers, and we don't know how they are going to be. So if you can choose specific courts, so the Chief Justice then appointed 4 courts in the country, one in Accra, one in Takura, the one in Kumasi, and one in Tamale, for all those appeals. So it helps. But at the end of the day, those courts were behaving like the ordinary courts. So I'm trying to say that if the attitudinal change in the court or the judiciary does not turn positive, it will be difficult. You may create special courts, but they will behave. It's just like putting an old wine in a new wine scheme. So it will be the same thing. What I think is that we don't need this reform only for corruption and corruption-related cases. We need the entire judiciary to be fit for purpose. And on that note, I want to draw your attention to something I observed during the swearing in of His Excellency John Mahama. I saw that when the judiciary were leaving the place, they were in the STC bus and people were hooting at them. And I was like, my goodness. Really? Yes, I have the clip. I've saved it because I know they may challenge me one day. So I show it to them. Now look at people hooting,
no idea,
people hooting at you, which to me was very sad. So we need to clean the judiciary.
But as a whole, we have all read the reports of the Afro Barometer.
Yes.
That trust in the judiciary, in our courts, just like trust in the Electoral Commission, just like trust in the police, is at an all-time low.
Yes. So that is a wake-up call for the leadership of the judiciary. I think the Chief Justice and the Council to come together and say, what do we do?
But as it so Jibre, Naji Penny, Edema, a POG political highway, no, say in Brow, so you may feel political news, no, and a political update, no, and Fan Brow. So you also let's say the Akuffo over my Ghana Manusim. I also subscribe to a POG political platform, and the council, message of drop subscription. Now, I hit notification bell, no, setting on Saturdays, make a daily update. Now, also, I share no for so setting me a car, no matter the Akuffo over my Ghana Manusim. As I was saying, can be, and I say, and comment. So obetimi so abo e dey read the comment section ho na wadi nkomo ho yenso you have a reply na ya ma ho eye emu aye said e eye nkomo no esi e koso no da was so Jibre e be se share.